All right, welcome back in. Britton is up here on the set with us now because, Britton, we were talking about the rivalry between Notre Dame and Alabama, and there's not a lot of recent history for a lot of young fans to know about, but you looked back in time a little bit. People will probably recognize these names, but they may not remember the game.
Yeah, it was 40 years ago. I talked with John Croyle. You probably remember Brody Croyle, his son, who was a quarterback at Alabama. Talked with Gary Rutledge, who was one of two quarterbacks in the game that kind of switched off. Mal Moore, talked with the kicker who missed it, Dr. Bill Davis. But it's a pretty interesting story. Let's take a look at it. It's from the 1973 Sugar Bowl.
And the midwinter sports capital of the nation settles down once again.
It was a football game between two great universities, two great names, two great traditions, and probably the most powerful names in the country.
And it's the Alabama Crimson Tide, first on the playing field.
National attention that it received, and so I felt the pressure, and every player on our team felt the pressure. Even Coach Bryant and our staff, you could tell it meant something because it did.
Then the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame.
As a kid coming up and liking football, you had to respect Notre Dame. They had to kind of set the standard.
December 31st, 1973. Top-ranked Alabama kicked off against second-ranked Notre Dame in the game of the century.
Coach Bryant had always told us, you know, if you want to be the best, you got to play with the best. Here was a chance to go ahead and finish the deal.
It was wet that night and cold, and so we had to change shoes when we went back in before the game, but because we just couldn't stand up, it was slippery.
But the weather was the least of their worries.
For the first time we met the Notre Dame guys, huge. I mean, their running backs were bigger than we were. They just had an air about them. Before the game, Coach Bryant said, he came to my locker and he said, Dave, Casper's yours. He looked like a house with a head on it.
The two teams rallied back and forth 6 times for the lead. Behind by 4 with 9 minutes and 54 seconds left on the clock. Alabama's quarterback coach Mal Moore called a throwback play that led to a crucial score.
That was in the second half of the game, but Coach Bryant called it in the first half, and I didn't know that he called it. I've always said that if Coach Bryant could have choked me right there, he would have, and because my play didn't work. But it worked later in the game. We scored a touchdown with it to Richard Todd. Great play.
The try for the point. Bill Davis kicking it. If he makes it, it'll put Alabama ahead by 3. No good.
I just remember being very excited at the time because we went ahead at that time, and in the fourth quarter when we get ahead, we usually won. I just know I missed. I was disappointed in that, but I still thought we were going to win the game.
But Notre Dame came back with a field goal to put the Fighting Irish up 24-23 for the win.
I think that's the one game Coach Bryant said in his career, we just ran out of time.
Despite Alabama's 1-point loss to Notre Dame in the 1973 Sugar Bowl, the Crimson Tide still walked away with the national championship.
That was their last year to do this. They picked the national championship at the end of the season. So we were declared the national champions at the end of the season. Then we go into the bowl game ranked, I believe, #1, and Notre Dame was #2. I tell people it's like a heavyweight champion winning the championship and getting knocked out in the next fight. We lost the next game, but we won the UPI National Championship of '73.
40 years later, Alabama will take on Notre Dame for another shot at a national title. Yeah, pretty cool story, and it's really interesting about all those guys that I interviewed. They're all very close. They meet once a year, go to a lake house. They've got this special bond.
And the kicker there, over time, he felt better about things because of a letter he got, right?
Yeah, he got 40 letters from people all over the nation supporting him after he missed the kick. Even Barry Switzer, Hall of Fame coach, wrote him a letter.
I think he's done okay for himself.
Yeah,
I think
so.
All right, great job, Britton. Thank you very much. All right, now here's Mick.
Hey, we've got